Professional wrestling is an industry built on deception and intrigue. The internet may be a non-stop hive of rumors and information, but some secrets of the business continue to live on. We all know what it means when a referee makes the X sign with his arms or how wrestlers are able to bleed on cue, but what about those secrets that have survived the test of time, totally undiscovered by outsiders? Now, before we begin this list, you need to make us a promise. Do not take any of these secrets and post them on Twitter or Reddit. We're gonna be covering a lot of serious stuff here, so have a little respect for the industry. So as long as you promise to keep your mouth shut, and as long as you really mean it, let's get on with the video. Brace yourself, because some of these secrets could shock you to your very core. I'm Sam from Cultaholic.com, and these are 10 things you didn't know about wrestling. Join us! Number 10. The wrestling business was invented by King Henry VIII. Many people trace wrestling's roots back to the sideshows and strongman contests of the 19th century, but that is a fool's game. Wrestling actually dates back a lot further, and its first promoter was one of England's most infamous rulers, King Henry VIII. Henry's name has lived on throughout history as a charismatic yet vengeful king, but his passion for sports entertainment has been largely overlooked. Yes, his most well-known hobbies may have been abolishing the Catholic Church and having lots of wives, but Big Henry loved nothing more than sitting with a few trusted advisors and booking a bloody good wrestling show. But in order to protect the biz, Henry invented something called kayfabe, which stood for the King's Act to, yes, fool and bamboozle everybody. Fool those marks, Henry. Too sweet. Henry was also a ruthless businessman. In fact, his rivalry with the Kingdom of France wasn't about land, wealth, or political power. It was actually a booking dispute over the exclusive rights to Andre the Giant's TV appearances. Henry's influence on the wrestling business can still be felt today. We all know the children's rhyme, divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. It describes the fate of the king's 6 wives. But it also inspired Triple H's inconsistent win-loss record at WrestleMania. You learn something new every day. Number 9. Kane and The Undertaker are the same person. Isn't it strange how you've never seen Kane and The Undertaker in the same place at the same time? Having both spent decades in WWE, you'd think that the Brothers of Destruction would have crossed paths at some point. Or should I say, Brother of Destruction? That's right, for years wrestling fans have been conned into thinking that Kane and The Undertaker are 2 separate wrestlers. But when you really look at the evidence, it becomes clear that they're actually the same person. Allow us to present our argument. Both men are similar heights. That was easy, wasn't it? We didn't need an 8-part Netflix series to reach that conclusion. Kane and The Undertaker are the same person, and everything you once knew is a lie. Okay, yes, so the 2 characters may have interacted once or twice, but look closely at the current mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, and you'll notice that he's a simple hologram. So how exactly did he rip the cell door off its hinges? Watch again, and you'll see Earl Hebner use his mighty strength to force the door from the inside. And so we're forced to assume that Kane is one of those classic backstage ribs, a fun joke to keep morale high on WWE's long, grueling road trips. Number 8. The Royal Rumble's bonus prize. We all know that the winner of the Royal Rumble gets to challenge for a title at WrestleMania, but did you know about the match's other prize? Ever since Hacksaw Jim Duggan won the bout in 1988, Vince McMahon has insisted on personally driving the winner to WrestleMania. It's since become one of the old traditions of pro wrestling, like shaking hands with everybody in the locker room or wiping your feet on the apron before you get into the ring. Flair in 92, The Rock in 2000, Asuka and Nakamura last year, every single Royal Rumble winner has enjoyed their own personal chauffeur on the road to WrestleMania. That chauffeur being the most powerful man in all of sports entertainment. Rumor has it that Vince's meltdown in 2005 wasn't because Cena and Batista messed up the finish to the match. It was actually because he'd rented a motorbike for the occasion and there was only room for one superstar on the back of the vehicle. WWE are even planning to release a special edition of Ride Along later this year, charting Vince and Braun Strowman's journey all the way back to America from the beautiful city of Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Look out for that when it hits the WWE network in the near future. Number 7. Kurt Angle's mind-blowing secret. In 2017, when Kurt Angle revealed that Jason Jordan was his illegitimate illegitimate son, smarks around the world rolled their eyes. This had long been accepted as an open secret of the wrestling industry, dating back to indie message boards in the early 2000s. Everybody knew about the Olympian's secret son, as well as his desire to follow in his father's footsteps. When Jordan signed his developmental contract in 2011, the original plan was to have him billed as Urt Kangle, a pretty blatant nod to real-life circumstances. But we're now about to reveal something truly shocking. It actually isn't true in the slightest. Yes, that's right, Angle and Jordan have been working us for over a decade. The pair had actually never met until Kurt's return to WWE 2 years ago, and the decision to book them as father and son was a cunning trick. Angle's confession was designed to distract fans from his many actual sons in the wrestling business. These include Chad Gable, Jack Swagger, Mojo Rawley, The Great Muta, Fit Finlay, Mauro Ranallo, and Sting. Number 6. Shrek was originally a wrestling movie. Darren Aronofsky's 2008 film The Wrestler is often held up as the greatest wrestling movie of all time. But if DreamWorks had had their way, we'd be talking about a different piece of cinema altogether. Shrek was released in 2001 to critical acclaim, a fun subversion of usual fairy tale tropes. But the original script was a far darker exploration of Shrek's career as a professional wrestler, featuring scenes of extreme violence, drug abuse, and graphic sexual encounters. Only one scene from this version of the film made the final cut, the bit where Shrek and Donkey win a handicap match against several of Lord Farquaad's henchmen. It's also worth noting that the actors playing the heels were a collection of young indie wrestlers at the time, including Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Brian Kendrick, and Low Ki. Watch closely and you can see just how annoyed they were during filming, having to put over a pair of Hollywood big shots who had never set foot in a real wrestling ring. The scene in question is a very one-sided affair, mainly because the wrestlers decided to bump for Shrek and Donkey in a greatly exaggerated manner. Shawn Michaels would later take inspiration from their actions at SummerSlam 2005, where he infamously showed up Hulk Hogan by throwing himself around like a sexy ragdoll. Number 5. Dave Meltzer has a finite number of stars and he's running out. For decades, Dave Meltzer's star ratings have been used as a barometer of quality across the wrestling business. As the industry's most renowned critic, Meltzer's opinion carries a lot of weight and his ratings appear to indicate a recent period of growth. Over the past few years, 5-star match ratings have been awarded with incredible frequency, a testament to the talent of various wrestlers around the world. It all sounds good, right? Wrong. Meltzer's stars aren't a metaphysical concept, they're very, very real, a literal pile of stars he hoards like a dragon. And in distressing news, they're running out. We interviewed a source from Inside Observer HQ, and despite wishing to remain anonymous, he provided us with this shocking statement. We tell Dave every week, stop giving away stars so quickly. We don't care how good Kenny Omega is, this is not a sustainable model. The stars' power are living accommodation. If Okada has a 5-star match, we go without running water for a month. Before every NXT takeover, we gather by the fire and pray for a botch. As far as we're concerned, Johnny Gargano is the devil. Truly harrowing stuff. Number 4. New Japan Pro Wrestling isn't actually real. Social media has made it impossible to enjoy wrestling. Any opinion you share online will be eviscerated by an older, more knowledgeable fan, or at least one who pretends to have an intricate knowledge of the Ugandan independent scene. Oh, you think Ricochet's one of the best wrestlers in the world? Prepare to have your mentions flooded by super smarks, all telling you that he's not even in their top 500, and that you are an actual idiot. Delete your Twitter account and never talk about wrestling again. Well, don't worry, because we've made a startling discovery, one that's about to put all wrestling fans on a level playing field. New Japan is often held up as the gold standard of the business, the home of some of the biggest wrestlers in the world and the source of its best matches. But did you know that New Japan Pro Wrestling is entirely fictional? New Japan Pro Wrestling was actually created as a hoax by the popular GIF maker Signor Lariato. Carefully splicing together footage of various other Japanese promotions, he's tricked everybody into thinking that this haven of wrestling actually exists. Credit must be given to Lariato for his dedication to the bit. Over the course of several years, he's created an entire backstory for New Japan, including the invention of mythical figures like Antonio Inoki and the Great Muta. A group of Western wrestlers even fell for the joke, branding themselves as the Bullet Club in an attempt to get booked in the Far East. Upon arriving in Tokyo, they quickly realized that no such promotion promotion existed. Too embarrassed to admit their mistake, they've carried on regardless, gaining and losing members, creating merchandise, and fooling a generation of smarks in the process. Number 3, Randy Orton is my dad. Number 2, we know the main event of next year's WrestleMania. WrestleMania has played host to some of the most legendary feuds in wrestling history. Hogan versus Andre, Austin versus Rock, Taker versus Michaels, and so on. But next year's WrestleMania is set to become the most groundbreaking of all, with a main event between two of the fiercest rivals we have ever seen. In one corner, Mr. Worldwide himself, Pitbull, and in the other, Flo Rida. Pitbull and Flo Rida have been vying for the title of WWE's favorite rapper for a number of years. Both have enhanced WrestleMania cards with their popular high-energy performances, and both are super cool. So it's only fitting that in 2020 they'll finally meet to decide the dominant chart-friendly hip-hop act in all of sports entertainment. Rumor has it that Flo Rida will be played to the ring by close personal friend The Rock, with John Cena performing in honor of Mr. Worldwide. Although we don't know this for certain, we're going to hazard a guess as to the structure of the match. Flo Rida, with his imposing structure and muscular frame, seems to fit the mold of a WWE sports entertainer. In contrast, Pitbull, with his shaven head and well-documented love of Holiday Inn, seems more a veteran of the independent scene. Predicting a winner is far too difficult at this stage, but rest assured we're in for the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time. We've made it to the end of this list, and the only thing left to do is reveal wrestling's deepest, darkest secret. Please make sure you're in a seated position for this, as it could be quite upsetting. Number 1. Wrestling is predetermined. Yes, it is our sad duty to report that professional wrestling is predetermined. The outcome of every match has already been agreed upon backstage, sometimes days or even weeks in advance. The violence is simulated, and although wrestlers are genuinely putting their bodies at risk, they're usually doing their best to protect each other too. In fact, many of the wrestlers are close friends backstage, traveling to and from shows together, dining together, and even sharing a locker room. Listen, we know you won't believe us immediately, and that's fine. You're just experiencing the fear of the unknown, but don't be fearful, because fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. You don't want to end up a Sith Lord just because wrestling isn't real. But it's important to realize that yes, wrestling is scripted, just like many other forms of entertainment such as reality television and cricket. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope that we haven't crushed your dreams too severely.
Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter @Cultaholic. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And no matter what you do, don't ever forget to hit subscribe and join us.